So welcome everybody. Greetings from Buenos Aires. Today I am visiting family and it's great to see everyone. As I was sharing the goal of this space, where we are starting this network of team coaches, and the goal is to bring cases and graduates from our programs and other programs. It's open to anybody who wants to participate to discuss team coaching and team coaching cases. And like in coaching, many times we can see people in action by seeing demonstrations, but in team coaching, it's more difficult to share recordings because most of the time teams don't want team coaches to record the sessions or show the recordings. So because of that, it is more difficult to have recordings. So because of that, what we're doing instead is to have presentations. So every month we have a different speaker. Last month, Inga, many of you know Inga, she did a session, she shared what she has been doing with one of her teams. And Susie, who has been involved with me, many of you know her, she's a mentor coach in my MCC program. She's a mentor coach in my level 1 and level 2 program. She's a supervisor in the supervision programs, and she's a supervisor in the team coaching program. So Susie comes with me everywhere. So thank you, Susie. And everybody have always amazing evaluations and feedback for her work. So it's always great to have you and count on your support. She's doing this session today as a volunteer, just to so we can all learn from her. And we are now in cohort 8 and 9, 8 in English, 9 in Spanish on team coaching. Marianne is one of the participants of the current program. And we have here some graduates from the team coaching program, like Anne, who I saw her around there before. And we have some graduates from the MCC program that we have been doing, the supervision program. So everybody, welcome. Great to have you here. And Susie, thank you for doing this one more time. And I'm going to make you co-host if you want to share a presentation. We have 1 hour for the session today. And I want to invite you to make this interactive. So I want to invite everyone to pay attention and see what question do you have. I don't know, Susie, also you want to at one point to send people to small breakout room. We'll discuss that. We can have here. We have only 1 hour, 55 minutes.
Or maybe we'll all discuss here. Well, first of all, thank you, Damon, again for inviting me. I love sharing my experiences with the teams, and I always get the best advices when I'm here and I ask, what would you do? And everybody has like the best ideas. And the other thing I wanted to mention, I'm seeing a lot of familiar faces, and I'm very glad to see a lot of you. And thank you for coming. So let's see, we're right on time. Well, I would like this to be really interactive. So if you want to interrupt, just, come in. We're not so many people, and just whatever questions you have, please. Let's see, what I prepared for today is a team I'm working on right now. Like Damien asked me a couple of days ago, he said, are you going to use one of the teams you've been working on for a while, or are you going to bring a new case? I said, I'm going to bring a new case. So we can all learn from this case. I'm going to share, I made a little presentation just because I am very visual, and I'm sure this will help everybody too. And okay, so I'm going to explain the case. I'm going to show you the assessment I made. I'm going to show it real quick. This is a team in Mexico, and everything was done in Spanish. So it took me like an hour and a half to translate the assessment. So that's why I want to show it to you, because I think it can be very helpful for you in the future if you want to use it. Before I start, I want to tell you that I've been coaching for about 18 years now. And I think I just had finished my first year as a coach. And you know what happens when we're starting everything and we think we're great, but we know that we don't even know what we're doing, but it's working out. But I said to myself, I need this systemic view in order to work with a client Let's say if a client comes to me and says, I need to work on delegation, on accountability, I'm not getting what I need from my clients. I felt from the beginning that working with the team can help a lot of what our clients as leaders come to us in coaching. So I trained immediately in team coaching program from the European School of Coaching. After that year, I felt I need to keep on working on that, and I worked with Howard Goodman, which is not very much mentioned in our programs, but I admire his school, and that's where I learned the most, because I was also hired by M&M's to do a lot of team coaching, and they trained me there in their School of Leadership on this team coaching methodology. And then I took all kinds of certifications, as you know, as you do, as I do. And that's where I came up with the assessment, which I'm going to share with you. So now, okay. So I was hired by the CEO of this team, team, because he was complaining that the team was working in silos, that there was no accountability, that everybody blamed someone else for the results. They didn't get to things, and they would go to him and complain that the other area wouldn't give the material, and they wouldn't give the, I don't know, what they needed. And there was a lot of blaming, zero accountability. It's not my job. It was really his role. So there was a lot of confusion there. I had been recommended by another CEO that I coached his team for almost a year, and he recommended me with this person. He owns like 120 shoe stores. And it's interesting. So I started coaching him, even though I was recommended for team coaching, but he said, I want to start with myself. So I started with him. He wanted to work on delegating, trusting, control, not being so directive, and showing up more engaging and empathetic. So after the coaching we finished, I suggested at a certain point we work with the team. Before I go into the interviews, I just wanted to mention that he's a young man. He must be like 40s, very, very low 40s, 41, 42, graduated from Stanford, and the business was his dad's. But he and his dad didn't work well together, and he decided to buy the business from his dad. Unfortunately, his dad stayed in the office, and he said he was doing other things in real estate, but a lot of the older members of the team would keep on going to the dad, and that brought a lot of confusion. He would give orders, and then this person would give orders, the CEO. So what did I do? I always do this. I run an assessment, a team assessment, and then I interview every single member of the team. And they described the main things were they didn't have clear roles, they were not supporting each other, complaining, everything I said. The team diagnosis assessment was online, and I did the interviews like 2 weeks before. This time I went personally because the company is close to where I live. I went in person and I interviewed everybody in person because, I don't know, because of the culture of the company. And I just felt I knew there was a lot of tension between the members. So I thought, being in person, I could gain their confidence. I don't know, they would talk more. It worked. So what I contract for were 3 hours each session. Sessions up to now, I've had 3, and I contracted for 6 sessions. Okay. Now, what I found, there were 10 members of the team. I think I already explained. I think everything of the situation I explained. Oh, one of the biggest complaints were that the CEO didn't recognize anyone. No recognition, that in the meetings, everything, like people would say, I stayed late, I came on weekends, and he would just say, fine, and keep on working and saying what was still missing. So people didn't feel recognized, no feedback, nothing is enough. They all said that he knew a lot about the business. He did know because he had rotated in all the areas for years and years when he was working with his dad. But there was a lack of motivation. So what did I
Susie, I
Yeah.
want to add something because we have here in the audience today people who are very familiar with team coaching and people who are not. So for the
Oh,
people who are not familiar at all with team coaching, maybe briefly, what we want to mention is that in the team coaching process, it's important to start with some kind of assessment where you hear the voices not only of the person who is hiring you, HR, or the leader of the team, but also the members. So interviewing the members is a way to collect data so we can compare notes from what the leader is saying and what the participants, the members are saying. And also you're saying you went in person, probably because you wanted to build a relationship with the participant. When you are in person, sometimes it helps in building this relationship with everyone in the team. So I want to make these comments so people understand that in the process of working with teams, you need to start by collecting data and understanding what's happening with the team. And the assessment you have done and these interviews are all part of that process.
thank you, Damien. Absolutely. And the reason a lot of people have asked me in our courses, Damien, why do you do an assessment and then you interview people? You already have all the information there, but it's not true. In the assessments, we ask them to evaluate from 1 to 6, and then people are not sure if it's 1 when he's in a good mood and 6 when comes in happy, and you know, it might not be. It sounds very objective, but you get much more information when you're there and you feel it. For example, the company is divided in 2 floors of the building. I noticed that the people who are in the upper floor, I think it was 6, would say, oh, we have so much fun, we laugh, we're creative, this is a fun place to work. And the people and then they would say, all the meetings are in the lower level, where all the administrators are, where the owners are, where all the directors are. It's horrible. You go in, nobody laughs, nobody smiles, nobody says hello. It's like 2 cultures, two different companies. This I wouldn't have got just from my assessment because that question doesn't exist, right? So I could get that feeling. Then I went to that upper level, and it was like it was true. I could feel how people were more relaxed. So yes, that's why we do interviews. We want to gather information. Not only that, the team leader was totally surprised by the results. He gave me one story. He blamed the team and not being accountable. But then we noticed that the roles and responsibilities, I noticed, were not clear. The objectives were changing constantly. The vision of the team and the company, they didn't even have a real vision published. And this company has been there for 30 years. So all these little things bring confusion to the team. And the team leader was not really aware that was important. Actually, he asked me in the first time we met with the team, he said, do you think it's really important to write a vision of the company? Could you imagine? So that's why I brought it to the team, to the system. And I said, what do you think? You know, do you need a vision? What would a vision do if we had it now after 30 years, right? So, well, I noticed a lot of distractions in the meeting. Also, at the same time, some people sort of, there was no psychological safety. Like they would all, before they answered and they said something, they would look at the team leader, and they would look at me, and they didn't know if it was safe to talk or not. So, well, that's pretty much the idea. I would like to share with you the team assessment. Give me a second, and then we'll continue with this presentation. Just give me 1 second, I already opened it. In the meantime, are there any questions? Okay, here it is. Oh, why can't I share? Okay. So these are the questions I asked. As I told you, this was from my first training, but with all the other trainings, I've been adding some other questions. And I have a specialist, a professional in assessments that has helped me out with indicators because he told me that I cannot just add questions to an assessment like this. So this is pretty much how I've been using it for the last years. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. This is the one in Spanish. Give me a second. I need to share the one in English. There it is. I'll be quick because we're gonna pass this really quick because I want to go to the discussion. So, okay, so the first question I ask has to do with each member of the team, no matter their function and ownership, show ownership and accountability for the results of the team. So as you see, most of the people from 1 to 6, the average was a 3, it's pretty low. So most of them said, I disagree. There was some strongly disagreed. So that means there was no ownership and accountability. The next one, each member has a clear vision of the team vision and mission. Again, no. Well, to me, this is a very, this is showing how much they don't have a clear vision. The work environment is open and usually free of stress and unresolved issues. This is one of the lowest ones, right? Communication, conflict. So that was a red light for me. The structure of the team facilitates the execution of the mission. Not really. Sorry, was anyone gonna? Okay, there's a question on feedback. Do they give feedback regarding work and behaviors? More than half said no. What's interesting is that like 2 or 3 people said yes. There's a new COO and he had been in the team for a month and he answered what he had seen up to then. And I have a feeling he was very optimistic. The team had a clear strategy to fulfill the business mission and objectives. That was, I guess, better. The team takes enough time to regularly evaluate its performance as a team and review its performance needs. No, they don't evaluate. Team members show pride to be part of the team. So this was a little better, but a lot of them are not happy there, right? As you can see. Team members take time to review opportunities and develop learning techniques like learning development. Not really. Individual objectives are clearly related to the mission and strategies of the team. The team members have the necessary skills to work their differences and misunderstandings in a constructive manner. No. But to me, there's a lot of opportunity there. The members of the team understand their individual contribution and the contributions of the rest of the team members. The members of the team have a high influence level inside and out the team. The members of the team feel free to open an honest conversation about themselves and the importance for the performance of the team. There are high levels of trust between the members. The team has established a protocol to welcome new members and practices. Not really. The members of the team have the knowledge and skills necessary for their effectiveness. The team celebrates its success with regularity. This had to do with recognition. Of course, they don't. The team has effective meetings. The team has a decision-making protocol. Of course not. If the CEO takes all the decisions, the rest cannot take decisions. Is the team working to its highest potential? No. The team works in collaboration between the team members? No. It is common to, this I added because of what the CEO had told me. It is common to blame others and not take responsibility in issues related to the team. But they didn't dare saying the truth, because here they didn't feel they were blaming each other that much, I think. Now, there were open questions, but I erased them because I don't want anyone, because of confidentiality. But first I asked, which are the 2 or 3 business priorities of this team? I want to make sure with the team leader that everybody is aligned with the objectives and the strategies of the team. So here you see if somebody says something different, is that this person has no idea. What makes you feel best in working with this team? What worries you? What are the main obstacles? I'll be glad to share this. And which will be your 2 petitions to the leader of the team in order to continue developing as a high-performing team. Usually I ask this question to give an opportunity to have their voices heard. And like, what do they, and usually they are very respectful most of the times. Unfortunately, one person had a little aggressive petition to the leader, and he was very upset. Now, I erased it. I didn't let everybody, because I show this results to the whole team. They all know that there won't be a name attached, so they could be recognized, but I didn't put that, and I talked to this person because I didn't want him to be recognized. Okay, and then I asked them to describe the leader of the team in 1 or 2 words. You know, most people said he's smart. And in your opinion, what should we be focusing in our coaching sessions? So this is pretty much what I did. And what I would like to do now, I'm going to go back to my presentation for 1 second, because I think I want to hear you. Okay, so I just want to tell you what I did each session according to this, what I got from the interviews, and I would like to maybe, I don't know how many we are because I haven't looked at the whole screen, but maybe we can all discuss together or divide in groups.
We have 13. We're 13, so I don't know.
2 groups or 3 groups. Yeah, that would be useful. Okay, just quickly, the first session, I did, of course, contracting. For those of you who are not have done very little team coaching, it's very important not only to contract with the team leader or your sponsor, but to contract with the team. And what I like to do is like leave the responsibility to the team if they want this. Like I would say, if you don't want to engage in this, this is the moment to say it. So we define what's a team, what is team coaching. I show a video that I really like, a 1-minute video, and I say, what have you seen here? How is your team? How can you translate this to your team? I'm sorry that as I was doing it really quick, I explained the stages of a team. I don't know what and I asked them where they believe they were in the stages of a team. So when you're starting team coaching, there's this cycle. And I like to ask the team, where do you think you are? After I bring a big mat with here, if you want to see which are the stages, for those of you who are not familiar, these are the stages. What I wrote here are some of the emotions connected to the stages. So I bring a huge mat. I bring this mat. It's like 2 by 2 meters. It's really big. Everybody fits. So they stand where they think they are. Then they have a conversation. What would it take if you think you're at 2? What would it take for the team to be, at 12? So I let them have their discussion. And then I ask, what do you think you should be working on the next sessions? So it's really mostly the team discussing, and I come in when I need to ask the right questions. But after that video, usually they can just start, discussing. It's amazing what you can listen in this conversations. They all decided they had no team ground rules. And so we worked on the team ground rules. I like to call them ways of working. And they came up with very interesting rules. And then we started working on the team vision and the purpose of the team. And the last session, which I had like a month ago, 3 weeks ago, we talked about the roles and the responsibilities because they were overlapping. How much do you do? How much do this other person does? And where the interdependencies. And what I worked on was, what would you like to ask other areas so you can do your work best? And they had a great conversation. There was conflict between two areas, and I think they were handling it pretty well. I think this is what I have done. My next meeting is going to be online because I'm traveling. So that's going to be next week. I have a pretty good idea what I want to do, but I would love to hear from all of you. And well, these are the words that came mostly out from the interviews, but I think we shouldn't spend time on that. So if we divide the group, I think it's a good place to stop and have a conversation in smaller groups, and then we can come all together and discuss.
Do you think that 10 minutes is enough?
Yes, because
Okay.
then we'll decide. So what are the questions? What stands out for you as you listen to the case? And what do you think the team needs for the next sessions?
So I put people by groups, like the coaches together, the supervisors together, and the team coaches together. So you are with people similar to your specialty, let's say. So you have that in common. Okay, so have fun and let's be back in 10 minutes, okay? And you may spend 1-2 minutes just introducing each other so you get to know each other too, if you don't know each other. So there are 2, 3s, and 4s, depending on.
Do you stop recording, Damian?
Yeah.
Hi, Paul. Nice to see you. Well, I know everyone here, so this is fantastic. Okay, so we're back and we have a little more than 15 minutes. So I was going to ask you what are your ideas? What did you notice? What did you listen to? What do you think we should be working on? I should be working on, because I'm not coaching this. I'm alone. So first group, which was the first group? I don't know. Who wants to start? Sandra, I see you're like ready to talk.
I was looking at Wes. I was like, "Are we the first group?" And I'm trying to remember back our room number.
It doesn't matter.
I was looking at him. So yes, we were in the first group, and Wes, please feel free to jump in and chime in. But what stood out for us, or what we initially started kind of talking about, were and what we had parallels on, were how this is, it's same, like with all the information, that this is common throughout. Like it's not like a singular event when you have like these hierarchies in a company, and then now the leader is hit with all this information and awareness of like how his team actually feels and is conducted. One thing that came up for me and that I was sharing with Wes was that, and I don't know if there's any relevance to it at all, but you did also share that this was like an inherited, longstanding company, and it's also a Mexican-based company. And I know there are also there could be cultural influences too of how hierarchies, it's like in Latin American countries, you know, there's always like kind of this respecting, or you say yes to everything, but you really don't want to, or say no. Like there can be these cultural differences or understandings of things, but overall, I feel like we're kind of in a space where there's more conversation around wanting or understanding what is a healthy work environment, what is psychological safety. And I find it interesting that the leader now is younger, so he's willing to, you know, get a coach and have this and all that. You know, so that's what's kind of stood out, which is like, you know, this can be such a common thing that's happening in a lot of corporations and stuff, but how how common is it that a lot of people are entering that conversation or wanting to move forward with, even though there's discord? And then we sort of organically went into the second question in saying, and Wes brought this up, and Wes, please feel free to chime in, so I'm not the only one talking here, but he brought up the element of the father still being present. And so then Wes.
Yeah, well, I think it felt like very common on the face, like the slide you showed, Susie, about like the different elements of what was at stake, not good delegation, lack of engagement from the leader, or lack of understanding of what the team represented. But then it felt like the thing that was very unique was the father sitting somewhere in the office, and that as much work as you did with the team or with the leader, that father still being there on the other side of the office is having this undue influence on everything. And so like, how do you sort of bring that relationship, father and son, into it? Because no matter what you solve with the team, that feels like an element that's always there and maybe outside of sort of the control of the group that's involved with the engagement itself.
You picked up something really important, and it's this father's figure. I didn't have time to go much into it, but it is so important because the people who have been in the company for many, many years, they keep on stopping at his office and asking him for advice. And the other day, when I was in our last coaching session with the owner, he said, "Oh, Susie, I'm not getting, there's no accountability, so I think I'm going to hire my dad back as a COO while I find a COO." And it's like, I almost fainted. And I said, no, like, you know, I know that's not my role and I'm a coach, but, you know, I was his coach too. And I just said, just think what that could do. Just thinking the implications. What are the pros? What are the cons? You bring him back, and it's like giving him all the power again. It was so difficult for him to try to let go and tell people, talk to me first, no, don't go to my dad. So I'm very happy he hired a COO, a recent one. But yes, thank you for picking that up. Really important, understand the culture of the company. Okay. Another team.
Actually, I think Jennifer had a point that she made in our group about that parent thing. I mean, I would invite Jennifer just real quick.
Sure. So I was offering in our group that I've worked with a couple of organizations where the sons bought the business from the father, and the father, in both cases, had an office, and what you were describing, Susie, would, you know, kind of some employees would go to the father. And so one of the things that we identified in both of those cases were transition work for the father to be able to move into something new that felt identity, like a place of significance, because in both of these cases, the father had started the business, their identity was wrapped up, and why they didn't want to leave the business and not have an office there is because of their identity and their need for significance. So supporting that person in a coaching relationship to find the new identity was important. And then helping the father with what he could support of the son and what the son wanted for the business, so that there would be elements of united front, if you will, but identifying what those things would be. So it was kind of part of a greater transition coaching plan that we found we had to fold in to the team coaching work because without it didn't feel like what the owner wanted to actualize would be able to come to full fruition. So if that's helpful.
Very helpful. But how would you do that if the son was willing to take coaching, but the father, I haven't even met him, to tell you the truth. I haven't seen him. Like, I try to look when I go, but he's not in the office. How do you work with the team, something that really these two should be working on, I think, first?
Yeah.
Any idea?
Well, I mean, if there's opportunity, I guess what comes up for me is to ask if the father would be willing to meet with you and explore what of what your son is doing resonates for you. What are your plans after the business, and try to build connection and figure out if there are connection points that could be built upon in the team coaching work, and then also see if there's individual coaching opportunity with the father and the son.
Yeah. I would love that to happen, but when I suggested that, the answer, well, the sons, I'm gonna use son and father. The son said, I'm gonna talk to my dad. And the answer when he came back was, my dad said he's not in the business anymore, that why should he be involved in anything of this conversation? So,
Yeah.
like zero.
Right.
Yeah, but you're right, absolutely right. This is something that's affecting the system, and we cannot just not look at it. Totally.
Yeah.
Would the father be open? Well, I guess this is a question asked the father, but would he be open in giving an assessment about his son then? Like, it sounds like, if maybe not in the team or in the business, but would he assess his son in that role, since the son is getting all these assessments from his team? And then that can be an entry point for further conversation around, well,
Okay,
it's your influence too, and la la la. I don't know.
I can consider that. I can consider that. When I asked him who would be answering, he didn't mention his dad. So at that point, I didn't want influence. But yeah, that could be a good one. Yes, Wes?
Yeah, one other question, just piggybacking on those two comments, was like, what, and you had asked this already, Susie, about when the son talked about maybe hiring his father back as a CEO or COO, and you asked him, like, what impact would that have, right? That question. And I feel like as you're doing the team coaching work and the individual coaching work with him, I am sure he is seeing a lot of benefits from that already, and things that he can use to grow. And so maybe there's always this like inverse question every time he notices some advances with the team or progress with his own coaching, is how can that be unraveled by indirectly or directly by the relationship with the father or the father's existence within the business as that continues. And so maybe they won't do the coaching, but at least the son can get a greater kind of depth of understanding, awareness around it. Yeah.
But do you think, like, you saw the results of the assessment, they were pretty low in communication, trust, feedback, recognition. I mean, almost in everything, almost. Any other things that you noticed that could be worked on the team? And maybe another group? Thank you very much.
Susie, I'm curious of the role of the leader in these team coachings. Is he present, or are you just working with the team?
No, the team leader has to be present, in my opinion. I mean, because the team makes, to me, the most important part of a team coaching is all the agreements the team makes, the conversations. And if the team decides something and the team leader is not there, makes absolutely no sense. And usually many times I do meet later with the leader, and I say, what did you listen? What happened here? Right? So it's important everybody's there. Actually, let me tell you something that I do, Bunny. To me, if all the members are not there, many times I don't do my team coaching. I am so strict about this, and so, I don't know, so strongly about it, that many times they say, yes, but some people have another meeting. Okay, if that's more important than our meeting, then that means our meeting is not that important, and then everybody comes. I mean, if somebody.
Susie, I want to reinforce this, because if whatever you contract with the team at the beginning is you can have your rules and you can have your way of working, and I think that and that may not work for all teams. But Bonnie, I think I appreciate your question about leadership, because I also don't work with the team if the leader is not involved. Yeah. Because if not, you work with the team, and then when the leader comes back, everything goes back to what was before. So if you are not sure that the team is engaged, involved, and participating, you may not be the process. It's not you as a team coach, but the process may not be successful. So I would have that as a requirement. And also in the contracting, remember, like in supervision, always be contracting, ABC, always be contracting. When in team coaching is the same. It's like we always need to be paying attention to the contract and see we need to change it. But you need to spend a lot of time in contracting and clarifying expectations, like having everybody there, having the boss there. What happens if the leader is not there? And you know what? Sometimes the leader may not want you there. So if the leader don't want you there, you shouldn't work with that team. You know, leave it and say, okay, this team is not ready for coaching, because you really need to have the right conditions to make the process work. Now, you may end doing something else, but maybe, okay, you may end doing some consulting, some training for the team, what is okay too, but it will not be team coaching, but you may contract with them to do some teaching about what makes teams effective, or team building, about some exercises for people to get to know each other. But the idea of team coaching, for people who are not as familiar with team coaching, it's a process. So you heard at the beginning the more structured part that Susie was bringing, but then our job as team coaches is go to their meetings and observe them working and provide some feedback and ask them questions, like we would ask in individual coaching. So we are like a mirror for the team, and we get the team to reflect and see what they're doing that is effective and what they need to do differently.
Exactly. It gets to a point where we just are there and our presence is amazing. We come in, we ask questions, and we can turn the whole conversation of a team in a very positive way if we ask the right questions. Yes.
So
Marianne.
Susie, in the examples that you shared of the first 3 sessions, those seemed pretty well, like, directed by you. At what point in the engagement are you typically able to be more of that observer, mirror, reflector exclusively? Like, it's their agenda and you're just sharing your observations?
Now,
Or
exactly now. The team needed the ground rules, the team needed the vision, they needed to discuss where they were at, what they needed. But now I'm going to engage in this part where I'm going to come to the team next time and I'm going to say, how are we doing up to now? What does this team need now? Where would you like to go?
what do you need from me? Yeah.
What do you need from me? Exactly, you know the questions. But I'll let them guide where they want to go and what they need to discuss. I feel the team needs to have a conversation on psychological safety. What does this, and I don't know if I'll do it next session or maybe just, but I can ask one question and let them work it, you know, because I really think, what does this team need so everybody feels secure and confident to express what they want to express? You know, I can ask a question sort of like that and let them work it. And then whenever I need to come in, I come in. I think they're ready for that. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yes, Kada?
Yes, I usually at some time midpoint conduct a cultural assessment for the organization, or sometimes just for the team, depends on the size. And that brings in the conversation around power and hierarchy. And that helps everyone, including the leader, to see who are the players in the field. And that might bring in some, provoking thoughts for him and for everyone as well. It's just like address it to everyone instead of just him or his father. It's always useful. It brings in a lot of work.
So make it like a cultural assessment. By cultural, you mean?
Cultural value.
Okay.
Yeah, and I know, you have your own cultural values in where Mexico is, and that collaboration and respect for the elderly and hierarchy and all of that plays a big role in how things are managed and done.
You're right, because I asked the coach, the leader of the team once, I said, people are complaining you don't say hello. May I ask what happens to you that You go through the hallways and you don't think, I have observed you. And what comes to your mind? And he said, because my dad taught me that if I get very close to people, they might know some more about me and we could be in, in danger, because violence and kidnappings and whatever.
Yeah.
And I was shocked by the answer, right? So
Yeah.
that he decided he was going to work a little bit on empathy. Like he said, this is how I've been educated, not to show how I feel to anyone. Interesting. Yeah, but that's something I have to work with him, not with the team. I think first. Okay, anything else? Any other thoughts on your breakout?
We are running out of time. We are running out of time.
No, but everything was fantastic. Your comments, thank you.
I want to thank everybody for coming and attending. And we have every month these sessions once a month, and it's a presentation of a case. So we hope that you can meet us next month. And also next week, we have also supervisors here, but these sessions are open to anybody. We have Linda Hendrickson is going to be doing a supervision session on Thursday at 8 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Everybody's welcome. And also the author of the book that we are using for the coaching program is a new book that we didn't use before, but because just came out this year, last year, from Julie Hess. And she's coming to talk about her book on Thursday, the same day at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So everybody's also welcome. And all of the information is in my newsletters. So if you do not receive my newsletter, let me know, so you can be sure that you get that. And there also we share the recording from the session, like from today. Susie, it's okay to share this recording?
Sure.
So at the end of the session, we ask the presenters if it's okay to share the recordings, and we post the links with the recordings in the newsletter at the end. So thanks everybody for participating. Great seeing you here. And look forward to seeing you in class or in other programs or in other demonstrations, okay? And Susie, thank you again, like always. Thank you for being so supportive of all of our programs and doing a great job, like always.
Thank you very much. Thank you all for coming. That was
Thank you for taking the time, 1 hour and a half translating, that's a lot. Thank you for that. That's really meaningful, like I appreciate that very
I
much.
have anything in Spanish if you need it to. Okay.
Okay. So now we need to repeat the same version, but in the Spanish group, okay?
Sure.
Bye, everybody.
everyone.
Take care. Thank you.